Coming at you here with the Night Shroud guide, and the Night Shroud is a very powerful, very fun character, likes to hide and do some really cool things. She's kind of like that friend that goes to the bar with you and then just disappears and you don't see her till the next morning. And I think it's a she. I am not 100% sure. I stared at the picture for 5 minutes before this video trying to make sense of it. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's a she. Anyways, the Night Shroud has a small hand size of 9, so we're going to talk about, how we make sure you don't exhaust, and then how to make sure that the Night Shroud isn't going from one very ineffective turn to one very effective turn, because you can very easily get caught in that trap of a weak turn and then a strong turn. And so we're going to go through how you manage that. I like to play the Night Shroud a little bit differently. I think a lot of people are trying to go invisible almost 100% of the time, but that doesn't really help your teammates out. And in some scenarios, it can actually be quite problematic. Don't get me wrong, invisibility is amazing, and I'm going to teach you how to use invisibility, to a very high level. But I like to go in there and soak up some damage as well, on purpose usually, because hit points are there to be used. And if you're not taking any damage with the Night Shroud, you're not playing her right. So we're going to talk about that. And then the Night Shroud has a super friend, a class that absolutely makes the Night Shroud, top tier. And later on, we're going to talk about what class that is. So stay tuned. If you could at this point, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications so that when I put out new content, you're notified. And let's talk about how we make dark as much as possible. Okay, so I talked briefly about how the Night Shroud can very easily be in a pattern of one weak turn, one strong turn, if you're not properly making dark. So you've got to make sure that you're making dark every single turn, basically. And if you can manage to do that, you're going to be able to string together really strong turns. So whatever means necessary, use a stamina potion, use other items. I'm not going to have any spoilers here, but there's multiple ways you can do this. Make sure that you're using your executes as much as possible and keeping dark up, to make yourself more powerful. And then I just want to talk briefly about your level 1 card, Spirit of the Night. It is fantastic. Never leave home without it. It may be the best level 1 card in the entire game, period, bar none. It is extremely powerful. And then the bottom is great for end of scenarios with objectives while you're invisible, or if you need to catch up or something along those lines. So you can use it for the execute all the way through, and then you can, use it to pull off a big move at the end. And then ineffective turns, again, you can very easily get caught in this trap of doing 1 to 2 damage and then having a big turn where you kill an enemy or you do a bunch of damage. So when you can't kill somebody, make sure you're using other cards like Empowering Void to bump up the level of your attacks, because the base attacks of the Night Shroud are actually very weak compared to other classes, because all the dark stuff that makes them so much better, they have to be weak so they're not even more overpowered. So use Empowering Void to pump up Silent Force Top or Armor of the Night or something along those lines. Invisibility is a great, powerful tool that you can use, but I think that some people who play the Night Shroud, they overuse it. You don't always want to be invisible. You should be out there some of the time, and like I said before, using those hit points, taking some aggro, especially when there's lots of enemies, so that you can split them up. So when you are invisible, what do? The first thing you can do is you can go ahead and open up the next room and block the door while you're invisible. And this is great for a couple reasons. First, it splits up flying and ground enemies. So if half the monsters are flying and half are ground, the flying monsters are going to be able to find a focus. The ground monsters are going to sit there and do absolutely nothing. And so it's going to split them up and allow you to take on the flying monsters first. Second, it completely neutralizes a room that has no flying monsters. You can open it and they will do nothing. This is going to be a huge advantage for you because you're effectively stunning an entire room when you're opening up that room and blocking it while you're invisible. Very powerful. Use this as much as you can, and you're going to be happy with the results. The next play I like to call the invisible pillar, and I actually use this in Gloomhaven Online a lot. I was playing some missions with some scenarios with the Mind Thief and the Brute, and yeah, you can block a spot and enemies are going to go around that spot. So you can use it to push them into traps. And I've got another video where I've done that. It's a Gloomhaven Online video. Go ahead and check those videos out if you want after this. So you can use yourself as an extra object to push enemies through traps, because they're still going to have to find that focus and they're going to go right through the trap. And then you can also use it to make sure that melee monsters aren't going to make it to some of your friends. So you can go up and block and cause them to take an extra turn or an extra hex in their move to go around you. And by doing that, you can actually make it so that they will not attack at all that turn. And then the last thing you want to do here is you can maximize your invisibility time by using a go fast, go slow move. So you want to go fast with initiative. You attack, you do whatever, you go invisible. The next turn you go slow, and basically for 2 turns, they're not going to be able to find a focus on you. If you go fast, then fast, you'll come out of your invisibility because it comes off at the end of your next turn. So go fast and then go slow, and you can have 2 full turns of invisibility off of 1 card. But make sure you're not overusing invisibility. I just want to say it one more time. Get out there, help your friends, don't be a lone wolf all the time. Starting out, it's really handy if you can go late in the first round and you've got an ally who can make dark for you. Tankerer, Ink Bomb. That's just an easy one that comes to mind though. The Tankerer fires off an Ink Bomb, you go afterwards, you consume dark, you've Ink Bombed, which is a pretty good card, and then you've killed an enemy first turn, you're going to be in good shape guaranteed. So if somebody can make dark first, that's going to allow you to accelerate your instant kill moves, and it's really going to help you, crash through the scenario really fast. Concealed Dominance is a card that looks great, but is a bit of a trap card. And just remember, you've got to consume dark to turn it into this massive hex attack. So you can't use it with Empowering Void or anything along those lines. And so you can't turn it into something really, really good. It's also a double loss. And I think, with this character, with the Night Shroud, running a double loss is going to be very ineffective for you. The Night Shroud is all about chaining turns together, keeping dark up all the time. And, for your first however many turns, this card is just going to be a regular 2 attack or a regular 2 move, because you don't want to lose it early on because of the exhaustion issues and that sort of thing. So this is a card that you should pretty much always stay away from, even though it looks really good. And then a public service announcement here. Empowering Void only affects the main ability line. So let's take a card like Silent Force. It is not attack 3 plus 2 times 2 for 10 damage. It is attack 3 times 2 plus 2 for 8 total damage. It only doubles the ability line. So keep that in mind whenever you've got something else that's adding attack on top of that. It's actually not going to affect that. So it's not quite as good as you think. Even though Empowering Void is a very good card, you should be taking it with you almost always, because when you're not insta-killing, you're going to use Empowering Void to make sure that you're not stuck doing 1 to 2 damage in a turn. So that's going to allow you to push your overall damage up a lot. So always take Empowering Void, but it's not quite as powerful as it first appears. Coming up, we're going to talk about your favorite ally in the game, the one who helps you a ridiculous amount and who you're just going to love. Before that, if you could, go ahead, hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot. Subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so that when I produce content, you're notified. And also, I've created another video. I think you're really going to like it. I've ranked all 22 of the Gloomhaven classes, including Jaws of the Lion and including Forgotten Circles. So go ahead and check that out and see where your favorite classes lie in the Gloomhaven universe and whether they're as good as you think they are or not. It's time for your favorite ally. And your favorite ally is, and you may have guessed it by now, it's the Tankerer. and it's the Tinkerer for a few different reasons. First, they've got a bunch of cards that can give you your non-loss cards back. And the Night Shroud uses a ton of repeatable cards that are not a loss, and so this is going to make you really powerful. First, we've got Reinvigorating Elixir at the bottom. That's going to allow you to recover all your discarded cards. That's going to help you not exhaust, and it's going to help you use, your instant kill cards, your Empowering Void, stuff like that. And then we've got an amazing card here, Gas Canister bottom. It's going to allow you to insta-kill 4 turns in a row, 5 turns in a row when you include using it the first time. And it's going to make you extremely powerful. If you can insta-kill every turn at higher levels with one card, that's like 15 or 20 damage average per turn. And you don't worry about shielded enemies, all that stuff. Gas Canister is amazing and is going to allow you and the Tinkerer to just roll through scenarios like a hot knife through butter. And then we've got Volatile Concoction. One ally within range 2 may recover up to 1 of their discarded cards, or 2 if you've got ice kicking around. Pretty straightforward. Get back your executes, get back your Empowering Void, do lots of damage, instantly kill enemies. It's really good. And then the Tinkerer also has a little bit of element production that can help you. And we've got Ink Bomb, which is going to help you execute, right? With Spirit of the Night. And then we've got Toxic Bolt and we've got Flamethrower. And both of those can give you a second element when you're using your 6th level card, Swallowed by Fear. And so the Tinkerer is really going to help you out a lot. He's a great ally to run beside the Night Shroud. At level 2, we've got Prepare for the Kill and we've got Soulfire. And Prepare for the Kill is just a great utility card. You're going to use it a lot. It's got very good initiative at 7. It produces dark on top and bottom. So, and I'm going to use this word twice in this video, but it's the Swiss Army knife of the Night Shroud. So a really good card. And we've got Soulfire. The top is okay, but it doesn't produce dark and it's not really strong enough. And then the bottom is going to be a lost card for an attack 6 and a curse. That is not going to fit in with the Night Shroud. Go with Prepare for the Kill 100% of the time. At level 3, we've got Armor of the Night and we've got Terrorblade. Armor of the Night is a good card. It's got a good strong attack for the Night Shroud. It's got our strongest non-loss melee attack up until level 8 cards. And it's going to help you smooth out those really weak turns. The heal can be used, if you have no other, usage for your dark that turn. So a nice bonus heal. So you can go out there and take a little bit of aggro. And so if you are helping your buddies, like I recommend, that can help you get some of your hit points back. I don't think you're going to use it a lot for that. But it's good for the damage. Use it with Empowering Void. And on the turns you're not insta-killing something, you can easily do 8 damage, which is going to be really good compared with your insta-kills. And then the bottom is good, again, if you're out there taking a little bit of aggro, it's a shield and it produces dark so that you can keep your dark up if you don't need to move that turn. Terrorblade is not bad. It's got pretty decent initiative at 17. It's a 3 attack with a push 3, so you're going to be able to push enemies into traps. So not bad there, but I don't think it's as good as Armor of the Night. And then the move 4 bottom, though, is actually quite nice. And then all attacks targeting you gain disadvantage this round. I don't think we're going to get hit a ton, but it can be useful. And the move 4 is actually quite useful. So this one is pretty close, but I'm going with Armor of the Night just because I prefer to deal damage and not have those weak turns in between insta-kills. At level 4, we've got Nightfall and we've got Grim Sustenance. And we're going to talk a little bit about party composition and some intangibles here that are really going to change your decision. So Nightfall, if you can produce light or you have a Tinkerer who will give you back cards, Nightfall can be really good. If you have a Tinkerer, you can use it for the top to produce a ton of dark, and then you can completely change the cards you take at every level. And if you can produce light, you can use the bottom to move and attack and produce dark, and it's really, really strong. So if you've got a way to produce light, take Nightfall. It's going to be really good for you. If you have another character that's producing light, make sure they're not going to use it. And also make sure that they're not really close to retiring and then all of a sudden your light source disappears and you've taken a really ineffective card. Grim Sustenance is the other card at this level, and it's a pretty good card. It gives you invisibility for free. It can give you a bit of a buffed attack if you're already invisible, and you can go from invisibility to attacking right back into invisibility. Just make sure you're not always invisible. It's kind of annoying when you're playing with a Night Shroud and they're just always invisible and never really there to help you out and take any damage, even though the killing is, of course, handy. So if you don't have light production or a Tinkerer, then you should take Grim Sustenance. It's the good standard pick. It's going to push your overall damage up when you're not insta-killing. At level 5, we've got Claws of the Night and we've got Black Arrow. Claws of the Night, I think most people don't take it because Black Arrow is just so easy to use. And again, like I said before, it's a Swiss Army knife as well with good initiative and stuff like that. It's, like Prepare for the Kill. It's almost always going to be reasonably effective, but it's never going to be amazing. If you can create elements, Claws of the Night is going to be amazing for you. It's going to be attack 3 on 2 targets, poison both, and then create dark so that you don't have to generate dark on your bottom, which means you can be more flexible with your other cards. So if you've got somebody with you creating elements, Claws of the Night is going to be better long-term than Black Arrow. If you don't, you should take Black Arrow. It's so easy to use. It's got good range. It muddles. It curses. It has initiative 11, which is our 5th best initiative overall. But Claws of the Night, if you can create elements, it's going to push your overall turn damage up more than Black Arrow is for sure. So take Black Arrow if you need a safe pick. But if you can produce elements, I'm going with Claws of the Night. And no, I didn't talk about Claws of the Night bottom. Don't even bother with it. And Black Arrow bottom, you're not going to use it very much either. Although it can push your damage up as well. Just make sure that you're generating dark on top after you use your attack 3, range 3. At level 6, we've got Unseen Dread and we've got Swallowed by Fear. And this level is going to be really easy for you, and it's easy for anyone who plays this game with a Night Shroud. Unseen Dread is actually a really good card. Attack 3, create dark on the top is nice and strong. Move 6 jump is amazing flexibility and is super handy. The initiative is really, really fast. But Swallowed by Fear is one of the best cards in the entire game, bar none. Killing an elite at higher levels is equivalent to 20 to 30 damage sometimes. And there's no way that Unseen Dread can keep up with that. So pick Swallowed by Fear 100% of the time. And don't ever use Swallowed by Fear's bottom. I cannot think of a single scenario where you would ever use that. You're going to use it for the top 100% of the time. I mean, it basically could have been left blank. At level 7, we've got Eyes of the Night and we've got Quiet Frenzy. Eyes of the Night top is just not worth it. I mean, invisible enemies aren't super common. It's not very powerful. It's definitely not worth the loss. I would never play it. The bottom, though, is pretty good if you have light generation. So if you have light generation, move 5, muddle, target all adjacent enemies, produce dark is going to be pretty good. And then Quiet Frenzy is an okay card. The top is going to be worth 8 damage. Remember, you cannot use it with Empowering Void. So I'd rather just use Empowering Void and a level 1 card like Silent Force rather than spending my pick on this. And at 19 initiative, it's pretty good. And the bottom attack 3, move 3 is reasonable flexibility. But almost 100% of the time, I'm going back to level 6 and picking Unseen Dread. Level 6 is overpowered. At level 8, we've got Gloom Darts and we've got Lurking Rune. Gloom Darts top is pretty strong and it looks really, really good. But the bottom is actually better in my opinion. I don't know, that's a pretty strong word, but it's very good. Move 3 and produce dark is going to allow you to keep your dark up a lot and allow you to be really flexible on move, and you won't need to enhance anything to, get that benefit. And then Lurking Rune, the top is okay. It appears better than it is. We've got other cards that can do 8 damage, stuff like that. So it's not like it's amazing. The move 3 invisible self bottom is pretty good because you don't have to consume dark to go invisible. So if you feel like going invisible, you can take Lurking Rune, but I think I take Gloom Darts, most of the time. At level 9, we've got Angel of Death and we've got Voice of the Night. Angel of Death top is an amazing late scenario move where you go in and you just delete a room. It's pretty crazy. Make sure you're saving it till very near the end of the scenario though, because the bottom on this card is just as good. A repeatable move 5 jump where you can kill one adjacent normal enemy. This is going to be great for opening up a room, moving in, deleting an enemy, and then going invisible via an item or via a top invisibility. And it's going to be a fantastic opening move. Voice of the Night, the top is barely worth a loss for this class because the Night Shroud is so powerful. 5 stuns even isn't going to get it done. The initiative on the card is really nice, but we've got lots of other fast initiative. And then the bottom move to attack 2 invisible self when you consume an element and then create dark is good utility. But there is no way that you can pick this unless you've played Night Shroud a few times and you're doing it for variety. And I like to go back and do some really non-standard things, so I'm not being judgy here, but Angel of Death is 10 times as powerful as Voice of the Night. So take Angel of Death 100% of the time, unless you feel like, getting out of line a little bit. Okay, we're going to talk about some enhancements for the Night Shroud to deal with a few movement issues and things of that nature. But first, you've made it this far. Please go ahead, hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. So the first thing we can do is we can enhance the bottom of Smoke Step. We can enhance it to a 2 move, or we can enhance the bottom of Prepare for the Kill, and that's going to be a 3 move and 2 dark. Pretty good stuff. And then if you want, you can add light to something. You can either add it to one of those 2 cards on top of the move, or you can add it to another card that produces dark so that you can produce 2 elements. This is going to help you for a couple things. First, if you can produce light, you can use some different cards, some non-standard cards like Nightfall Bottom, and it's actually going to be really powerful for you. And also, you need to produce 2 elements to use Swallowed by Fear, so it's going to help you out that way as well. We've gotten to the perk section and prepare to be disappointed because the Night Shroud has some of the worst perks. And that's okay because the Night Shroud is so powerful. It's okay to have a bad perk deck. But dark needs to be planned for, so the dark stuff doesn't really help us. Being invisible randomly may help you once in a while, but again, we're planning on those turns. We're planning a couple turns ahead with the Night Shroud. And then add a target doesn't apply to executes. So that's not going to help you. A lot of these things are not going to help you. So what I suggest is, get rid of your negatives first because you want to push your non-execute turn damage up so that you're not like executing, doing 1 or 2, executing, doing 1 or 2, stuff like that. Then get rid of the +0. Then add the -1 darks. Then get rid of them with the +1 darks. And then you can ignore scenario effects and add those 2 +1s. And then after that, there's not much else you can do. Try to avoid getting those check marks. Battle goals, they don't matter anymore. Okay, let's talk about Prosperity level 1 items. It's going to be very simple. You need to get a Stamina Potion and a Cloak of Invisibility. The Cloak of Invisibility, when you don't want to have to use a card to go invisible and you've gotten yourself out ahead of the group because you're deleting enemies, it's going to help you a lot just, as some safety. The Stamina Potion to get back Spirit of the Night and keep doing it as many times as you can. And if anyone can, refresh your consumed items or do anything like that, just keep getting Spirit of the Night back, especially early on. You're going to be, it's going to be really effective. And then if you can find an item to create elements, that's going to help you a lot. Creating light, creating a second element for Swallowed by Fear, stuff like that. A little bit of element generation is going to go a long ways. All right, everybody, we've made it to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I hope this Night Shroud guide helped you out a lot. If you can, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and make sure to turn those notifications on so that when I'm putting out new stuff, you're notified. Thanks again.